Good evening and welcome to the July 13th, 2022 City Council Finance Committee meeting. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I ask that anyone else in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating their name and address. Seeing none, at this time I ask that all electronic devices be placed into silent mode. Members of the committee present this evening are myself, Councilor Di Natale, Councilors Zarella, Cruz, Van Hazinga, who is remote, and Councilor Brochman. The public has been advised to contact the city clerk's office regarding any comments of no more than 2 minutes. None have been submitted. I invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to please approach the podium, identify yourself by name and address, and identify the agenda item on which you would like to speak, and then you may speak on it for no more than 2 minutes. Seeing no one in the audience, we will now move on to the agenda. 20622, an order that there be and hereby is transferred from within the sum of $50,000, same to be transferred from a reserve for other municipal purposes, capital expenses, and credited to police capital expenditures, building renovation for the purpose of contracting for designer services. Chief Martineau.
Good evening, councilors. In front of you this evening is a request that I made to the mayor's office for $50,000 to continue in the procedure that we're moving forward to do the renovations at the Fitchburg Police Department. With the previous approval for a project manager, we retained Collier project leaders as our OPM for the project at the police station. And the next phase after the OPM was the selection of a design team. Utilizing Mr. Laney's office, went out to bid for a designer, and myself and Collier Brothers interviewed the different design teams, and after the interviews we elected to go with a company called Contex as our design architect for the project. This $50,000, as you saw in my letter, will cover phase 1 of the project. So this is the next step after the hiring of the OPM, is to bring us to the design stage. This will take us probably to the fall, where they're going to come in, basically do a checkup of the building. They're going to go through all the mechanicals of the building, look at the structure of the building, make recommendations, exactly what we're trying to do. They're going to put that all together into a design phase that I can bring back to the mayor's office for the next step after that. So this is just the next step after the hiring of the OPM.
Councilor Brochman.
Chief, I was talking to the man to my left, Calvin Brooks, there about this project. Right now, so far, and we haven't even started. We spent almost $250,000.
Yes,
185,000, now 50. And I was asking him, in your estimate, because you were a carpenter, and I know this is far-fetched, how much do you think it would cost us for what you want to do? This is a high, safe ball figure.
I would estimate somewhere, after having initial conversations with Collier Brothers, bringing them through the PD, looking at what we believe is needed to bring that police station to the next phase of its longevity, somewhere in the vicinity of $4 to $5 million.
Oh, 4 to 5. All right. I thought you were going to come back with 15 to 20. I was going to say, oh.
Okay, can we start over? Somewhere in the area of 50, no.
Yeah, the chief communicated that the last time.
I believe at my initial when I first went to you in front of for Collier's, we were anticipating somewhere in that area between 4 to 5 to 6, somewhere in that. And a lot's going to be determined on what this next phase tells us. Hiring Contex, they're going to come in and they're going to evaluate everything, our heating system, our air conditioning system, our electrical system, and getting the police department where its longevity is decades down the road. So this is the next progression in getting that police station to where it should be for the next 30 years.
For the next 30 years? Okay, that'll be off. Okay. I like that. I won't be around then.
I hope you are.
I'll be an old man then.
Calvin, is this coming out of that line item under debt service? The reserve for capital spending? We got.
Yes.
So we have 1.15 million in there right now, so this will be the first transfer out of there?
Correct.
That would leave a balance of 1.1 million. Okay.
Make a motion, we accept? Oh, go ahead.
Motion made and seconded to accept, favorably recommend 20622 If there are no objections, I'll take this on unanimous consent. Seeing none, passes.
Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to 20722, in order that the City of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of additional funds from the Massachusetts Collaborative for Action, Leadership, and Learning 3 Substance Misuse Prevention Grant in the approximate amount of $125,000 for the purpose of said grant, which is to prevent and reduce misuse of substances of first use, alcohol, nicotine, cannabis, among youth. This order is in addition to the amount approved in Council Order 077-21. Mr. Curry, is this, do you want to take these all together, or do you want to take them separately? Do they all go together, or are they all separate items? Because it's no big deal if we take them separate,
Yeah, I think it probably would be easier to do separately.
Okay. All right, so 20722,
As you just read, councilors, good evening, councilors. Basically, for FY23, Mass DPH has doubled the grant, as you can see, from 125 to 250,000. This is a regional grant. Fitchburg is a lead community. It also includes the communities of Gardner, Leominster, and Winchendon. It's more of right now a planning grant, obviously, to reduce the use and misuse of alcohol, nicotine, and cannabis among our youth. So right now, and for the first year or so, it would be very heavily a planning grant. We have also already looked into contracting with a consultant. That consultant is a bilingual Fitchburg resident, and it'll help assist with the implementation of this project. And we also look to partner and provide financial support to youth-serving organizations within the clusters communities. We've already reached out to the Fitchburg Y, the Spartacus program, the Fitchburg Housing Authority Youth Programming, Boys and Girls Club of Fitchburg, Leominster, and Gardner, as well as the Winchendon YMCA. Any questions on it, or, I mean, we've already had a discussion on it a few weeks ago, so I didn't know how in-depth to get.
Motion to approve?
I'll second it.
a motion made and seconded to approve 20722. If there are no objections, I'll take this on unanimous consent. Seeing none, it's favorably recommended. 20822, order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of additional funds from the Mass Public Health Excellence Grant in the approximate amount of $300,000 for the purpose of said grant, which is to expand on shared services between municipalities and the Massachusetts Public Health Network. This order is in addition to the amount approved in Council Order 17022. Mr. Curry.
This grant is also an expansion. We've had a discussion on this one a few weeks ago as well. This is through the Massachusetts Public Health Network, and it seeks to fund through FY23 to improve and expand on shared services. Basically, what that would look like briefly would be an inspector would provide services from Fitchburg to other communities. And as it would also include an epidemiologist to explore communicable disease within those 13 communities. And it seeks to have a full-time shared services coordinator. That coordinator would seek to try to expand services, health services that are provided throughout the whole 13 communities. Not all communities are able to offer health staff. So it would seek to expand within the communities, current communities, as well as communities that are not part of a regionalization within the state. So it's a very hard push by the Department of Public Health to expand on the regionalization project in the health department across central Massachusetts.
And again, this is just a supplement to a previous existing order for acceptance of the initial grant.
That's correct. It pushes it into FY '23. Previously, you only approved it for FY '22.
Right. Council Boishman.
One question. When you say an inspector, what kind of inspector? A housing inspector?
It would be what the needs are of the communities. So I would assume it would be a person that is trained in food as well as housing and Title V and the various wells and drinking water wells and various inspections that are a need to the communities in the Montechusett Public Health Network. For example, Counselor, the town of Westminster may not do many housing inspections like Fitchburg does, but they probably have 10 times as many Title V inspections as Fitchburg does because we are municipal sewer. So it really is based on the needs across the 13 communities.
All right. I'm all set, thank you.
Council Zarella.
Thank you. Just as a note for my colleagues and the public who may not be aware, Title V is septic systems. That's correct?
I'm sorry, Counselor?
Title V is septic
I'm
systems?
sorry, yes. Title V is septic systems that are private disposal systems.
Just wanted to clarify that for anyone who's listening in and, was wondering what that was. Also,
Thank
One
you.
other question.
Council Van Hazinga.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to check, so I think it's great that we're getting these additional funding to strengthen our services and provide it to a wider area outside the city. I just wanted to confirm what the long-term impact to the city is in terms of pension responsibilities, unemployment insurance, like those kind of things for new staff that are brought on. Is this brought, since it's a grant that's year to year, are they brought on a temporary basis and then we manage them year to year, or how does that fit into the long-term finances of the city?
Yes, so the employees that would be hired would be considered temporary employees based on funding. And it is also, the grant is designed to fund those benefits that the employee the city would have to absorb to hire that employee.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the city's not left holding the bag on additional costs that aren't foreseen. But if it's all rolled into the grant, I think this is great that we can get some extra dollars and some extra services to support the city in the area. Thank you.
But when the grant expires, do the employees go?
Yes, if there is no funding, the employees would go, yes.
Just making sure, because
So the idea behind the regionalization project is for the towns or the whole MPHN to decide on if they wish to continue with it, how does it fund itself?
Right.
And we've already done that for many years, but it seeks to expand on what we've already done.
Yeah, just making sure about the tie-in with grants like we see with the fire department, for example. If you accept the grant, you can't just let them go after the grants. It's one of the stipulations of the grant. The feds expect you to keep that.
So
I
there
I
would-
forget I think it was like 3 years after the expiration or something. You have to keep them
Yep.
at least. So when we accept those kinds of grants with employees tied to it, we were accepting something that we wouldn't normally have hired ourselves because we didn't get that kind of money. So when the money goes away, the concern from counselors is rightfully, well, we didn't have the money to hire these people without the grant. What do we do when the grant's over? Right. So, Councilor Zarella.
Just to clarify, because it was kind of, we kind of worked around it. Is this actually a pension position that we're talking about, or any of them?
They could be, depending on the amount of time spent. I mean, we're only looking for 1 year
Right.
at present,
We
so
need 10 years.
if,
Right. So I know this is looking way down the
bottom line,
road, but just
councilors,
in the vein of what Councilor Van Hazinga brought up, of what happens when the grant is over. Are we left
Right.
holding the bag? Let's say they vest.
Right.
And then the grant gets terminated for whatever reason, different administration, different policies or something. We're stuck with the pension on that?
yes.
I figured. I mean,
I would highly doubt these employees would be around for 10 years, or we would seek that kind of $300,000 annually. We would receive that kind of funding. for 10
I
for
doubt
10
it as
years.
well. I just wanted to be clear on what the implication was. I'm still in support of it.
Counselor Boishman?
One question, back to the inspector. Is this inspector that you're gonna hire, besides going for Title V, will he be a qualified candidate for PFAC? I think you call that word?
PFAS?
Yeah.
That field is expanding, so short answer to your question, yes.
So that's not gonna be a $20,000 or $30,000 job, then you're talking good money to have all those kind of qualifications.
So the rules are really brand new and developing statewide and federally. So we would follow that closely and follow the guidance of those agencies to work with them to help identify and solve any PFAS issues within our communities.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion?
Motion to approve?
I'll second that one.
Motion made and seconded to approve 20822. If there are no objections, I'll take this under unanimous consent. Seeing none, it passes. 20922, order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of additional funds from the Mass Department of Public Health Bureau of Substance Addiction Services grant in the approximate amount of $16,666 for the purpose of said grant, which is to assist individuals living in Fitchburg who are experiencing homelessness or who are at risk of overdose, and to collaborate with other agencies to assess other city needs. This order is in addition to the amount approved in council order number 013-20. Mr. Curry.
So, councilors, this also is an expansion of a previously approved grant. The extra funds in FY '23 would be utilized. We plan to utilize these funds for providing additional Narcan to the city and to its departments, as well as our homeless and at-risk population. This would go hand in hand with our current street outreach program, that homeless street outreach program that we are currently operating, and we would just like to be able to equip them with more harm reduction equipment, and Narcan is an approved purchase and expenditure for these funds.
Council Boishman.
Question, I was talking to the man to my left, the auditor. I noticed we get a lot of grants. I mean, I know you're saying, I understand what you're saying, but I asked this question a while ago, and I'm gonna ask it again. It seems like, I looked at the police department getting a grant just recently to reach out for people with drug problems and everything else, and other issues, and they're working with Community Health Link. Are we working together here, or are we going, your group going their separate way, they're going their separate way? Because I look at, we're throwing the dice down the road, and we're not coming out with two snake eyes, we're coming out with two different numbers. Why aren't we working together to try to resolve some of these big issues? That's what I have a hard time with. I don't understand. They got $500,000, Community Health Link get a whole mess of money, you're getting a whole mess of money, and I drive around and I see the same problems that I saw yesterday, you know? And it seems like I think we're losing the battle, period.
It's not something that is solved overnight, that is for sure. And as far as working together, these grants have a lot of similar features and requirements, but not 100% of these grants have the same requirements. So we work together where the goals are the same, but the requirements and goals are not 100% similar. So we work together when we can.
All right. As long as we don't build it so they will come, is my philosophy.
I don't believe the police even have a clinician yet. I know they were working on it. I'm not sure where that stands at present, but once we find out who the clinician is, they are welcome to join our weekly meetings. Lieutenant Howe does already every Tuesday. So to say that we're not working together, as far as the OD2A grant, Overdose to Action grant, we work very closely with the police on a weekly basis.
I didn't say you're not working together, I said I'm hoping we're working together.
Yes.
To resolve the issues. And I'm hoping that we, whatever you want to call it, Title 35 or Section 35 or 55 or 95,
Right.
I just can't see me wasting my time. It's
As far as that goes,
here, and
as far as that goes, I think we work very closely together as far as sectioning.
all right.
Counselor Zarella.
Thank you. I did just want to ask, I know that the departments do work together as much as possible, but given the substantial overlap in subject area, even if not in specific activities, is there any individual or group tasked with coordinating these approaches so that they both to avoid unnecessary overlap, but also to synergize even where the grants aren't precisely aligned, so that, you know, one department's approach is complementing the approach of the other department and so forth?
So again, yes, Counselor. We have monthly hub meetings. We call it the Fitchburg Hub. Again, the Fitchburg Police are present at that meeting. And we try to work together as closely as possible at the goals that are similar within our grants. But I believe that the police have a clinician coming on board, so similar in a lot of ways, but not the exact same job.
Of course.
So there'll be differences.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to check in on that because I know it's a question people will have. Ultimately, I'm confident that you guys are doing everything you can to work together and to maximize the impact of all the resources that we have and are given. Just want to make sure people know that this is happening, know that this is, that the city is doing its best to be a good steward of our resources. 'Cause
Makes perfect
I know
sense.
that, but.
Counselor Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to piggyback on what Councilor Zarella had said, I just want to agree that I think that our departments do work together and do coordinate, and I do see it myself. And to go what Councilor Bushman mentioned about you see the same problems as yesterday. Addiction is a global issue. It's a huge issue, and it always will be. We'll always have work to do and to do more. And it's only so much that we can do. So are we going to see it all get wiped away tomorrow or the next day or the next year or in our lifetime? Probably not. There will always be addiction in this country. There will always be crime, and I think, and poverty as well. So I'm glad to continue to see the health department and the police department continue to strive for grants, and they will have a full-time clinician. Grant paid for full-time clinician for $500,000 for the next, I think it's 3 years. And I'm sure that they're going to do a wonderful job working within the health department as well. The tasks are different, though. Our clinician will have their own car, and they'll make house calls and deal with things of that nature. And this grant here, like you said, for the $16,666, it's for things like Narcan, to deal with this giant global comprehensive issue as deliberately and effectively as we can. But it's an issue that we're always going to have, so I'm always excited and glad and grateful to see the health department working to get the grants that are available and the resources that we have. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 20922. If there are no objections, I'll take this under unanimous consent. Seeing none, it's approved.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Take care of yourself.
Counselors, the next?
Can we take the next four together?
Yes.
Yep. Councilors, we're going to take the next four orders together. Mr. Kettle from the airport is unable to be here this evening, but I do have communications from him for each order, and Mr. Brooks is here to assist. We will take the four in order, all pertaining to the Fitchburg Municipal Airport. 21022, in order that the city of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division grant in the approximate amount of $4,400 for the purpose of said grant, which is to upgrade cameras located on the property. 21122 is in order that the city of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division grant in the approximate amount of $114,400 for the purpose of said grant, which is to repair roofs on hangars 2 and 3. 21222, order that the city of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of funds from the Mass Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division grant in the approximate amount of $48,400 for the purpose of said grant, which is to repair doors on hangars 2 and 3. And 21322, that the city of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of funds from the Mass Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division grant in the approximate amount of $8,160 for the purpose of said grant, which is to upgrade the fuel farm. And I have written communications here from the manager of the airport, Mr. Kettle, but Mr. Brooks, is there anything you'd like to add to this? Because I know you were going to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you look at these 4 grants taken together, they total $175,360, which is 80% of $219,000. And I handed out to each member a copy of the Finance Committee meeting minutes from June 8th, where Mr. Kettle talks about the projects totaling $219,000. These grants should have been included with that $59,000 grant at the time. That was something that I missed in developing the orders and so on for that meeting. And it wasn't until a couple weeks ago that we realized that they had been skipped. So it's basically, these 4 orders are basically the 80% coming from Mass DOT for the grants. The 20% that's the city's share is going to be covered either by the $59,000 that was approved back on, in June, or from funds that the city council had appropriated to the airport a year ago, totaling $135,000.
So this pertains to the order we had on June 8th of 17622, which was an FAA grant. These 4 grants this evening are from the State Aeronautics Division.
Correct.
That $59,000 grant was to repair the hangars at the airport and other associated projects. The notes we had from the minutes were, Airport Manager Peter Kettle stated that the city has applied for other grants totaling $219,000, which is what we have here this evening, and that they will be using some of these funds to cover the city match. The plan is to repair the roofs and doors at 2 hangars, which are 2 and 3, that are about 90 years old. The structures are in good shape, but they need new doors and roofs. And so these 4 grants are pertaining to what he was speaking about that evening, that we would have seen that evening in addition to the FAA grant. And as Mr. Brooks said, the airport will be on the hook for the 20%. And this grant funding will cover 80% of the costs. Councilor Zarella.
I just want to also emphasize that if I'm understanding Auditor Brooks correctly, the 20% that the airport will be on the hook for will come from monies that have already been appropriated.
That is correct.
So there is no additional appropriation out of city funds necessary to make this work.
That's correct. Thank you for clarifying that. Yep.
I got one quick question.
Are you all set, Council?
All set, thank you.
Council Boschman?
I was reading over this because I was talking to Calvin Brooks about this problem today. But I want to ask this question. I gave this to you, Calvin, about the grant of $59,000. It says here that all these repairs are coming out of, on these 3 items are coming out of that grant of the $59,000.
Right. I believe if you look at that,
They printed them all out, and it adds up to almost $59,000 on the 3. Pretty close.
okay, so you're right, the $59,000 is to flesh out the 20%
Right.
of the city's share, correct?
So I don't understand, when you say we approved $135,000, I remember voting for that one too.
Right. Initially, we did the council did $135,000 to do the project, and they subsequently got grant funding to do those projects plus other projects, so they're rearranging some things.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't get told that much.
Well, that's all right.
All right.
Motion to approve? I will withdraw my motion.
Council Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm thrilled to see this, as the airport is, of course, in Ward 6. And it's unfortunate that Mr. Kettle can't be here today because this is very much a victory lap for him in this project and getting it done at very limited city expenses. And I just wanted to, because I know that there are a lot of people out there who doubt the airport and the economic impact that the airport had, but I just wanted to share a statewide airport economic impact study that was done in 2019, specifically as it relates to the state of Fitchburg. Councilor Boschman's ready to go.
Well, continue, Council,
will.
but if this is going to springboard in a discussion about the airport's benefits, I'm not going to allow it, but go ahead.
So, the study labeled Mass airports as a catalyst for business growth and development, and it detailed how the 39 airports in Massachusetts quantify employment, payroll, and economic output. The Fitchburg Airport has 162 employees with a payroll of $6,573,000, with a total economic output of $17,619,000 for the city of Fitchburg. So I won't get into it too deeply because we will be going off topic, even though I feel like I allow other councilors to indulge quite a bit. I will not continue to indulge myself. And I'll just say that I'm incredibly pleased with this and the work that Mr. Kettle has done as the airport manager, getting that in really tip-top shape.
Yeah, the airport is near the tail end of its modernization efforts. As Mr. Kettle indicated in his letter, the repairs and upgrades that are taking place with these grant fundings pertain to things that are 90 years old. So I believe, as he said in the previous meetings, that we're at the tail end of all of these improvements. And then, you know, we're going to start to see the benefits of those improvements, in addition to future improvements that he'd like to see happen, but those are extras in his opinion. This was the critical stuff. And to get the funding from the state and the federal government, which is still taxpayer dollars, but not from a city source, we should always seize on those opportunities, and they are more than willing to provide that funding to us because they believe in what the airport stands for, and I know the city does as well.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve the 4 orders, 210, 211, 212, 213.
On the motion,
Council Boschman.
I'll just make it very clear that I'll support this because I supported it the last time. But next time, if the airport, we have to donate money to the airport, there'll be a fight on hand.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve the 4 orders. If there are no objections, I'll take this in unanimous consent. Seeing none, they all pass.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. If there are no objections, we are adjourned. Thank you.